Hello everybody, my name is Zura and I'm the Codeholic. In today's video, we're going to build Tailwindcss e-commerce website. We are not going to build an actual e-commerce website with payments and everything, but this will be simply HTML and CSS. And that will be a very good starting point if you want to actually build an e-commerce website and integrate this front-end template to your favorite backend framework. For example, I plan to use this HTML, Tailwindcss HTML template into my upcoming video where I'm going to build an actual e-commerce website using Laravel, and I'm going to use this HTML template for that. I also plan to add JavaScript functionality right here. This video only covers HTML and CSS. Okay, but in my upcoming videos, I'm gonna add a JavaScript behavior functionality like dropdowns, modals, and actual click events when we add item to the cart, etc. And we're gonna use Alpine.js for that. So that video is also coming. If you're new to my channel, just subscribe to be notified for my upcoming videos. Okay, first, let's have a look at the demo of what we are gonna actually build in this video. This is the home page. We have a couple of pages right here. Those pages are simply dummy pages. They aren't going to work. But we have the listing of products. Of course, all of the products at the moment are the same. Whenever we click on the title or on the image, we're going to see the inner page of the product. So right here we have a couple of menu items. Well, generally, cart in my account should only be visible when the user is authorized, but login and register now should only be visible when the user is guest. In this case, I have both just for demonstration purposes because we don't have any authorization at this stage. Okay, so this is the inner page where we have right here a title, we have the price, we have, let me actually just hide this section right here. So here's how it looks like. We have the title, we have the price, we have the reviews. Basically, we have, of course, quantity. We can increase the quantity and add this item into cart. Again, add to cart functionality doesn't work at the moment because we are going to only implement HTML and CSS in this video. But in my upcoming videos, we're going to add Alpine.js to this project and actually implement add to cart, where we see right here a red badge, which indicates how many items we have in the cart, and we can go into the cart and remove items and edit the quantity, etc. Okay, so this is the page. Right here we have a few images. When we click on the images, basically it jumps at the top of the page because that's not gonna implement it in this video. And yeah, let's go in the cart section. Right here we have all the items we added in the cart. We have the proceed to checkout button with subtotal. Let's go in the my profile section. This gives us possibility to update our profile with basic information, only name, email, and phone, and addresses. And we have my account details like a username or my current password and new password to simply update the password. Let's go in the watch list. This is going to be also implemented in later when we add items in the watch list, when we add Alpine.js, or later when we take this template and implement in Laravel. So we are going to have these remove buttons working. Let's go in the my order section. Here we see all the orders. When we click on the order number, it's going to open the order inner page where we have a little bit of information about the order as well as the items which I purchased in this order. If the order is not paid, we can click proceed to pay right here. All right, let's now go in the login. This is how login looks like. And when we click on register, this is how register looks like. Okay, so this key icons is just because of my password manager. Okay, let me actually open this in incognito. All right, this is how it looks like. All right, let's actually start building this this website. Let me actually show you how it looks like on responsive. I haven't done much work on responsiveness. I simply created this sidebar navigation. So instead of the header, we're going to see the left sidebar. And as we go, if there are some adjustments necessary, of course, we're going to actually implement those adjustments. Let's have a look at the source code. The source code is available on my GitHub. you go github.com/thecodeholic, and in the repository section, you're going to see this Tailwind CSS e-commerce. The code I'm going to write right now might be slightly different from what you see in this repository, because I have actually already built that project. It's right here, it's available while I'm recording that, and now I'm going to rebuild this, and that's going to be just a one straight large video where I actually rebuild. But while I'm rebuilding these, some things might be different compared to what I have already actually built. Okay, so if you do the same thing twice, you might do in a different ways on the second time. That's the exact case what might happen. If you're interested to see the source code, you can check the GitHub repository, or I'm going to put actually the link in the video description as well. All right, let's start from scratch, and I'm going to actually create a new folder on my desktop, and I'm going to call this Tailwindcss e-commerce. Okay, and let's open this using VS Code. I didn't name it correctly, e-commerce. I can right click on this folder and open with VS Code, or simply I can open VS Code and then open the folder. In any case, this is the empty project, and we're going to start from scratch. The only thing you need to have is to have Node.js installed. If you don't have Node.js installed, make sure you go on nodejs.org and click on the download for your operating system and install the latest LTS version 16. While I'm recording, the latest LTS version is 16. Okay, so I have already downloaded and installed that, and then in VS Code, we're gonna install a live server. Let's search for live server right here. Click on this one and click install button right here. I have already this installed, and that's basically all what we need to have. Now I'm going to create, I'm going to first initialize a new Tailwind CSS project. So I'm going to have opened Tailwind CSS documentation, because I'm going to refer to the documentation pretty often to copy some classes and search for certain things. Okay, even though I have I'm rebuilding the same thing second time, I have to remember certain things. So that's why I'm going to refer the documentation, and I built that like 2 weeks ago. So I didn't build it yesterday, so I don't remember everything. Don't expect me to remember everything. The next thing I will need is hero icons. This is the icons library, which is created I think from creators of Tailwindcss. I'm not sure, but I think so. And I'm going to copy certain icons whenever I need that. Okay, let's go in the get started section, and right here we have a couple of options to start with Tailwindcss. All right, first of all, I'm going to create package.json. So let's open VS Code. I'm going to zoom in because you might be watching this from your mobile, so I'm going to zoom in this. And now let's open terminal, and I'm going to run npm init-y. So I'm going to create package.json with default options. Then we have right here package.json file, and now we're going to install Tailwindcss. For this, we're going to run npm install-d to save that as a dev dependency, Tailwindcss. Let's make sure I'm typing correct name, Tailwindcss. That's correct. Okay, now I hit enter. It's going to take a few seconds to download actually the Tailwindcss, and it's going to also add Tailwindcss under dev dependencies right here. And whenever this is done, we need to run npx tailwindcss init. That's going to create tailwind.config.js. Okay. All right, npm install was successfully done. Now we have node modules right here, and if we have a look in the package.json, we have dev dependencies right here as well. Okay, now let's run npx init tailwindcss, and this will create tailwind config.js, as I mentioned. npx tailwindcss init. That's my bad. Okay. Let's clear up everything. npx tailwindcss init. Let's wait. So we have this config, and this is how config looks like. It's very basic, minimalistic config file. We're going to make some changes right here, but first I'm going to show you also how to generate config file with full available options. So let's actually delete this config.js, and now I'm going to run npx Tailwindcss init, and we can specify right here, I think, --help. Okay, so right here we have a few options, -f or --full, which will generate with full options, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And we have a couple of other options like post CSS. Okay, let's run npx Tailwindcss --full. And now let's open the Tailwind config.js. Okay, and here we see all the available options that is supported in Tailwind CSS. Okay, actually, I'm going to leave this Tailwind config.js as a reference. If I need something, I can easily refer right here, copy and paste in my actual Tailwind config.js. So I'm going to actually name this Tailwind config dot maybe full.js. And then I'm going to generate new config, and that's going to be an empty default config. npx Tailwindcss init. All right. Now I have two config files, and right here I'm going to make some changes. Let's open again documentation, and it tells that we need to start watching the following files. In the content section, we specify the pattern of the files the Tailwind CSS needs to watch. In this case, we're going to watch HTML and JS files. And whenever we change something in the HTML and JS files, Tailwind CSS will search if there are some Tailwind classes available and build that and give us final output. But how it's going to do that? So we have to create input.css file. It's written in the documentation as well. And I'm going to create first source folder, and inside there, I'm going to create input.css file. And inside input.css, we need to copy and paste the following directives: Tailwind base, components, and utilities. So I'm going to simply copy and paste right here. And then we need to run npm run dev. Let's open terminal and let's run npm run dev. Now it's gonna actually, yeah, that's my mistake. So we need to create dev script in the package.json, or we can simply run npx Tailwindcss -i refers to input file, and we need to specify -o for output file as well. Let me actually copy and paste the following. So npx Tailwindcss -i, let's actually cancel this or delete, paste this right here. Oops. Clear up everything. Something bad's going on. Let me actually copy everything. Paste right here. npx Tailwindcss -input is the following and output is the following. And we're gonna specify a watch flag which start watching those files right here, and whenever something changes, it's gonna rebuild. Okay, I'm gonna hit enter. Now it's rebuilt and created that dist output CSS. We can see it right here, but there are only some basic styles for HTML and some classes on body, HR, etc. So we don't have much classes right here. Those are just basic minimalistic stylings, which I think resets everything what browser gives. So Tailwind CSS resets everything, and then we have to apply stylings as we go. All right, so we have this watching and building. Now we can create index.html. Okay, and I'm going to include that dist output CSS right here. So link will be dist/output CSS. Let's save this. And now I'm going to create h1, for example, with class text to XL, for example. Hello world. Let's save this. Now I'm going to right click on this and open with live server. All right. Okay, here it is. Let me actually zoom in this. And now let's actually change this to XL into like 4XL and save this and see if that actually applies. I'm going to move this on the right side and this one on the left side. Okay, and let's have a look. So 4XL, 3XL. Well, nothing actually changes, and let's inspect and have a look. Refresh. Now I think it worked. So let's change this into 6XL, save that, refresh. Okay, it actually works. But sometimes when the live server, the idea of the live server is that whenever you change something in the project, it automatically refreshes. But sometimes when I was working on Tailwindcss when I was building this project, it didn't automatically take all the CSS files. Probably it was due to cache. Okay, if we inspect that, go in the network and click on this disable cache, and now I change this into 3, save that. Now I think it works. Okay, let's go back into 5. Now it didn't work. Yeah, I don't know exactly why it works sometimes and not works, but I always refresh whenever I make some changes. If it doesn't take that changes. Okay. All right. Let me actually close the developer tools and we can start building. And the first thing we need to do is create header. I'm going to create header. And inside there, we're going to have a couple of sections. So I'm going to create one section for logo, and that's going to be anchor link, which links to / probably. And inside there, we can have an image, or I'm going to simply write logo. We're going to have additional div right here section, or we can call this nav. And inside there, we're going to have an order list. Inside there, we're going to have a few list items. This one multiplied on 3, and inside there we're going to have a. Okay, just like this, we generated what we needed, and right here we can write home. This is going to be categories. Let me actually slightly zoom out, and it's going to be, I don't know, something. Okay, we save that. And we have logo, home, categories, but we need to apply some styling, right? I'm going to have additional nav. Inside there, I'm going to create also a few li elements, like 4. And this one will be for cart. This one will be my account. And this one will be login. And the last one will be sign up. Okay, I'm going to provide hashes right here, or let me actually write the actual HTML files, which we're going to create later. That's going to be source/signup HTML. This is going to be, well, actually, when I format the code, I think it formats for 2 spaces. That's good. Okay. I just didn't want to have 4 spaces like it was right here. I prefer 2 spaces. So if I format my document, right click and format document, it's going to format on 2 spaces, which is exactly what I want. All right. And here we need to have login, and here we're going to have, well, this actually will be a parent menu, and inside there, we're going to have submenu for profile and etc. Now look at this. So when I hit tab, it indents it with 4 space, and this is something what I don't want. So I'm going to actually create in the project, not inside the source, but in the root directory, I'm going to create editor config file, and inside there, I'm going to specify that this is root editor config file. And for every file, basically, I'm going to set the indent size to be 2. Indent style to be space. I'm going to set charset to be UTF-8, and we're going to specify end of line to be LF. Let's save this. And now if I hit tab, it indents with 2 spaces. And that's exactly what we told to editor config right here. Okay, I save this. And right here, I'm going to create additional unordered list. Let me actually write the following. So inside there, we're going to have like 4 li elements, and then inside there, we're going to have a. And that's going to be my profile, probably my profile. And let's actually duplicate this. That's going to be maybe watch list. and the HTML file should, let me actually expand this while I'm doing this. So that's going to be watchlist. Right here we're going to have maybe orders, and right here we can have like logout. All right, so in my account we can just put hashtag, and in cart we can specify source/cart HTML. And for home we can specify the same thing. That's going to be index.html. For categories and for something we can just leave hashtag. All right, and for login we need to have login as well. So I save this, and now let's open the browser, and those are, all of them are links, but Tailwind CSS actually shows them with default styles, because as we saw in the output, Tailwind CSS resets styles for everything. Okay, so whenever I click my account, nothing happens, but when I click my profile, it opens Signup HTML because I made some mistake. So that should be profile HTML. Okay, let's go back and click on refresh and click on my profile. It searches for profile HTML, which we're going to create later. We have, I think I have a typo, my profile. Okay, a watch list searches for watch list, orders, logout, login, sign up. So we have the basic structure right now. Now let's start applying some styles. For the header and for the styles, I'm gonna move this on the left side and move this like this. Okay, for the header, I'm gonna give it first of all display flex. So I want everything to be next to each other. I'm gonna give this background slate 800 color. And now when I change it, doesn't automatically take those styles. So I have to refresh. Okay, we're going to change the text into white as well. Now this looks good. For the following item, for the following menu, I'm going to give it maybe grid style, grid flow columns, and refresh. And now they are next to each other. Let me actually expand this. I think I have to expand, otherwise it's going to be ridiculous. Or maybe zoom out slightly, like this maybe. All right. Right here I'm going to specify grid as well with grid flow column. We save that. No, I'm going to expand this on the full screen. Okay. Well, this is awful, of course. And so we have flex right here. So this is the left side. Let's actually specify right here, justify content between. It's going to do something which is really good now. Let me actually first of all hide this submenu. So I'm going to give it class hidden. Okay, we don't need that. Let's specify now some paddings. All right. So I can now specify padding to each individual item like this, like padding Y3 and padding X4, for example, which refers to, this one refers to vertical padding, this one refers to horizontal padding. Save that and refresh. It doesn't reflect the change because this one is an inline element, and on inline element paddings don't work. So we have to make this block level element. Save that and refresh, and now we see padding around home. And we can do the same thing for something in categories and every menu item right here, which is basically how Tailwind CSS actually works. Or we can go in the input CSS and write our own styles right here, which in this case we have to specify class to the nav and go inside and specify some classes. So basically, if we start giving classes to nav and then start styling based on the classes, that's not the nature of the Tailwind CSS. We can of course do that, and we're going to do this in a very few areas in this project, but I'm not going to do it right here because, yeah, if you want to do based on classes, probably you should not be using Tailwind CSS, and you should be using something like Bootstrap, for example. All right, in this case, we have to specify classes, but I don't want to specify padding y3 and padding x4 because later if I decide to change that into padding y2 and padding x3, I have to update in all places. Maybe if we go in the input CSS, I can actually create a layer right here, and I'm going to do this inside base layer probably, and I'm going to create right here padding y navbar item, and we are going to actually use, now I don't remember how I'm going to actually use the existing padding y3. For example, I want to use maybe I can use extend. I don't remember. So actually I'm gonna now Google for that. Tailwindcss create custom class. Let's search for like this. Let me actually zoom in. Add custom styles. This is not what I want. This is not what I want. Layer, my custom style. Apply. Yeah, I have to use apply. Apply padding y3. So padding y navbar item will be apply padding y3. So if I save that and go in the index.html and change this into padding y navbar item, save that and have a look in the browser, we don't actually see anything. Why don't we see that? Padding y navbar item that uses padding y3. Let's have a look in the terminal. Okay, layer. Okay, maybe I made a mistake. Layer base. Yeah, we don't need dot. Yeah, the dot is extra. Save that. And now rebuilding was done. And let's have a look. Okay, now we see padding around home. And I'm going to create something similar for padding x navbar item. Padding x3, save that, refresh. We actually don't give it padding x navbar item classes, and let's increase this into 4. Go in the index.html and give it padding x navbar item. We save that, refresh, and now let's see. Now this one has padding x navbar item, which actually has some styling. Okay, so again, we could do padding y2 or padding y3 and padding x4, and we can apply these styles to every menu item. Later, if we want to change, we can like search and replace. We can use the editor's tools, search and replace, and that basically we have to, if we want to make some changes in Tailwindcss, for example, change a background color green into red, for example, we basically need to use a find and replace tool of our IDEs. Okay, in this case, like we can search for padding y3 and replace with padding y4 whenever I need that. Okay, but again, I just also wanted to show you how you can create your own classes in Tailwindcss as well. All right, now I'm going to copy this, and we have to apply it to all menu items, basically, my account and login and sign up as well. So class will be padding y navbar item and padding x navbar item. Now let's refresh. Well, it doesn't work because we have to specify block as well. So let's specify block. Save that and refresh, and now this looks good. Okay, so we have logo, which doesn't have any kind of padding. We have home, category something, and we have cart, my account, login, and sign up. Let's actually apply some styling to logo. Right here, we can give it basically the same thing, padding y navbar item, padding x navbar item. Save that and refresh, and this is how it looks like. Okay, this looks nice. Let's actually add some icons. Okay, let's go in the hero icons, and I'm going to search for cart. And which cart should we use? Let me actually use this one. Go in the cart and we're gonna paste the SVG icon right here, and I'm gonna format the code as well. So I save that, and let's have a look. And now they are stacked, which is something I don't want. So for the A, instead of block, I'm going to specify flex. That should be flex. Now it shows them next to each other. We can also specify items center. If the icon and the text is not exactly aligned vertically, we can use items center class, and now they will be absolutely vertically aligned. And we can specify margin right 3, for example, on the icon as well, to create a little bit of space between text and the icon. All right, let's now search for icons for login and probably sign up. Let's go in the hero icons. Let's search for login. Okay, we do have that. Here is the login. So let's paste this, format the code, save that, have a look. They are also stacked. So for the A, we're going to change this into flex, save that, and let's give the icon. I think they are not vertically aligned. Okay, let's give it items center, save that and refresh. And let's give this one margin right of 3. Save and refresh. All right, this looks good. I think we need to reduce margin right from 3 into 2. So just like this. Okay, let's save this and have a look. I think this is much better. Let's apply some styling to sign up, because the sign up button I wanted to be very specific, so it should pay our attention more. Go in the sign up and save this. And let's actually apply some styles to this. Let's give it a background green, or I want to use emerald, background emerald, like 500. Save that, have a look. Okay, this is already something good. I don't want it to be, I don't want it to be with a full height. Maybe I can create, maybe I can remove this padding right here. Now this is how it looks. Maybe I can apply, let's give it small padding, like padding y of 1 and padding x of 2. Let's see how it looks like. We need to show this in the center. So for the unordered list, let's actually collapse all the items. For this, we can specify items center. Save that. Okay, this looks good. Let's give it maybe rounded. Maybe rounded. Yeah, this looks better. Let's actually apply general horizontal padding on the header. So I wanted to give padding x of 4 maybe. Okay, so we have general padding. So now I want to add a hover effect on the button. I'm going to actually call this sign up for free, or sign up now, or something like this. And let's actually give it an icon as well, user icon. Let me actually copy this, format the code. So we have this icon. We need to, of course, apply flex and items center, and give this one margin right of 2. Save that. And I'm gonna slightly increase the padding of this button. So let's give it padding y2, padding x3. Save that, refresh. And well, let me actually zoom out this on 100 pixel. I want to increase the vertical padding as well, and maybe horizontal as well. Okay, let's go in the input CSS and let's change this into 4 and this one into 5. Save. Okay, this looks better. in my opinion. So we have login, we have sign up for free. Let's add hover effect on that. Let's go in the index HTML. And right here, I'm going to add hover. On hover, we're going to change the background into Emerald 600, for example. Refresh. Okay, this is how it changes. However, we need to add transition as well. Transition colors. By the way, if you don't have installed the Tailwindcss extension, that's pretty cool extension. Go in the settings, in the extensions, and right here, Tailwindcss. And this one is the extension from Tailwind Labs, and this one is really cool because it gives you the whole IntelliSense menu. It also gives you this nice color indication, and when you mouse over on the class, it also gives you the actual CSS written on that specific class. Okay, now I simply add transition colors, and when I mouse over, now the transition is very smooth. Okay, whenever we click, nothing really happens. I think that's good. Now we can add the hover effect on the each menu items. Let's actually add the hover effect on one of them, like this one. On hover, so we have the background color of Slate 800. Let's give it on hover background slate of 700 and see how it looks like. Refresh. Nothing really happens on hover. PG slate on hover, it's PG slate 700 on login. Yeah, we do have that on login, which is nice. We don't have it for others, but we can add that. But I don't like that there's no space between the sign up and the login button. So if we go in the right here on this A element, we can add margin left of 3, maybe. That's better. Or maybe margin left of 4. Okay, and now I'm going to add this hover effect on all menu items. So on my account, on cart item, let's have a look. Nice. And on those items as well. So let's create multi-cursor and paste. Now refresh and we have this effect. Okay, so far we're working on the header because we want to copy and paste this header on other pages as well. And I think this looks nice. We can slightly reduce the horizontal padding, I think. That's better. On the logo, I think we can remove the padding left because we have a general header horizontal padding. And now I think this looks good. Okay, we can spend some time to work on how this should look like on responsiveness. And let's do this. Let me actually close this extension. And in the, well, how should we do the responsiveness? So we have logo, we have 2 navs, and we need to create a toggle button right here. So let me actually zoom in this. And when we inspect and start resizing, we should see the toggle button. Let's go in the hero icons and search for menu. And I'm going to copy this menu SVG, and I'm going to create right here button. And I'm going to paste this SVG right here. Okay, that button is always there, always visible. It's right here. Okay, if we zoom out, we see this button. But whenever this button is visible, others should be hidden. So I want to make this button visible only below empty screen. So by default, the button is actually visible, but above empty, we're going to add hidden. So we save that. Now the button disappears. If we start resizing right now at this stage, button appears. And whenever button appears, we need to hide the navs. Okay, let's, on the nav, I'm going to add hidden, but above MD, we're going to give it display block. Let's do the same thing for second. On MD, above MD, we give it display block. Okay, this looks nice. So we have this header. I don't like that the text goes on the next line, but this happens because we have cart in my account and login and sign up as well visible. So we will never have all four visible. We will have either login and sign up or cart in my account visible. Okay, so let's, okay, I think this looks good. And let me actually hide right now. Let's go in the second nav and I'm gonna hide cart. Let's give it hidden and my account as well. Hidden. Okay, so this looks good. We start resizing and now menu appears. And when we click on this, so we aren't gonna actually implement click, but I'm gonna create a mobile menu as well. But before that, let's actually now show those Li items, and let's go down and hide the second Li items. So login and sign up. For my account, we need to show caret. It can be chevron down. So I'm going to copy this. And this is my account, and inside the A, we're going to put that SVG. Okay, save that and refresh. We see this SVG. We need to give this display flex, and for the SVG, we need to give margin left of 3, maybe. Okay, and we can give it to items center as well. I think it's too large, isn't it? We can reduce this by changing this H6 into H5 maybe, and W5. Okay, that's much better. And whenever we mouse over on that or click on that, we need to see the submenu. And this is something we need to implement right now. So we can do this on hover using Tailwindcss, or we can do this using click using Alpine.js. Let me actually first apply some styles on this UL. So I'm going to remove this hidden class, and it's going to be automatically visible, but we're going to give it a position of absolute. Okay, now it's visible, but so we don't actually see that. So let's give it a background slate 800, the same color, and now it's right there. Let's give it a right 0. Give it top. No, top 0 is something we don't want. No, we don't want top 0. So let's remove that. Well, let's actually give it some styles. Okay. So class padding y of 2, padding x of 3. Save that. Okay, this looks good, but I think we need to increase. Actually, we need to change this into block. Okay, now we need to change the padding y into 1 and padding x 3. It can be 3, or we can increase into 4. But I want this one to have fixed width. Maybe let's give it a width of 48. Is it too much? It does have a right of 0, but it doesn't seem to be working. I know why. Because on this Li element, we have to specify relative. Now, this one has relative, this one is absolute, and it has right 0. I think right 0 is not R0, it should be right 0. Okay, this looks good. And we can now reduce the width of this into maybe 36. And that's much better. And we can add some hover effect on that as well. Let's actually copy this hover. And let me expand this on full screen. And add this hover effect right here. Now we see this hover effect. We can apply, this logout is very close to the bottom, so we can apply padding Y2, maybe a little bit additional padding on this unordered list, and I want to still increase this width into maybe 40. Do we have 40? Yeah, we do have. Okay, so we have my account section, and let's apply some icons to each individual submenu item that gives us a nice look. So if we go in the watch list, what will be watch list? Maybe heart. Let's copy heart for the watch list. Paste this. We need, for my profile, we can copy user. Let's have a look so far. So we need to apply, of course, flex and align item center, but let's search for orders. Maybe for, I don't know if there's something related to orders, but let's search for list. And maybe we can use that for orders. Paste this right here. And let's search for icon for logout. This one is for logout. All right, now let's collapse all SVGs. That takes extra unnecessary space. And now let's change the block into flex items center, and let's see how this looks. It looks nice, but we need to apply margin. So let's go and expand the SVG icons, and for the class, and we have multi-cursor, don't we? Yeah, we do have multi-cursor. For each SVG, we're going to specify margin right of let's give it 3. Okay, I think this looks better, and I think we should reduce slightly the size of the SVG icon. So we change the width of 6 into 5 and height into 5 as well. Refresh. This looks better in my opinion. So we have hover, we have submenu, and this looks nice. All right, now let's start working on the mobile menu. So when this is hidden, we need to, when we click on this, we should see a mobile menu. Let me actually collapse this whole nav. And I'm going to create, right here, we need to create the mobile menu in the header anyway. So we can create it in any place. So I'm going to create right here a div, which will be by default on a mobile screen visible with block, but above MD, it's going to be hidden. Okay. This one, that's going to be mobile menu, and we can see this one visible only on small screen. It disappears on a large screen. Okay. I'm going to give this one position fixed, give top 0, bottom 0, height full, and give this one width of fixed, maybe something like 220 pixel. Okay, and let's give this one background slate 800, or give it a 900. I want it to be slightly darker. Okay, and we need to give this one left coordinate as well, left to be 0. Okay, and this is how the mobile menu should be visible. We can give this one also slight shadow, not slight but large shadow, XL maybe, or 2XL. I want the shadow to have direction to the right. I think Tailwindcss doesn't have that, so let's use just 2XL. Okay, and whenever so I want to give this one also transition all, and this is what I'm going to do. So in later, so when we actually implement the showing and hiding the menu, so when this menu is hidden, it's going to have a left coordinate minus 220 pixel. Okay, and whenever we're going to display, we're going to change its left into 0. Okay, this is how the menu will open and collapse. Okay, now let's actually work on the content of the menu. So I'm going to copy the UL, this one, in the mobile menu, and maybe collapse that, and copy another UL and put that right here. So we save that, and this is how it looks like, but this is not what we want. So let's apply some styling. Let's start from the top. Okay, so this one has grid, so I'm going to remove grid. We don't need that anymore. Okay, let's remove grid for this one as well. Okay, for this submenu, I'm going to remove absolute, and I'm going to give it a width of full, right 0. We're going to remove that. Okay, this looks nice. We need to adjust padding, in my opinion. For the my account, this one has display flex. I'm going to specify justify between, so that the card should be moved to the right. Okay, now it's to the right, and I think I'm going to reduce. Maybe we can leave that vertical padding of each individual menu item. I think this one needs also transition on mouse over. So whenever we have this hover, now we need to search and replace. Whenever we have this hover, I'm going to search for that and replace with transition all hover. Let's have a look. Okay, now it has nice transition. Okay, we need to display login and sign up as well. Let me actually either remove, or let me actually zoom in the right side as well. So let's search for login and sign up, which is not visible. It's hidden. Let's remove this. And the second one, remove that. Okay, this is how it looks like. I mean, login looks nice, but for the sign up, I'm going to give this one. This one has padding Y, margin left. So let me remove this margin left. We don't need that. And maybe we can add padding X of 3 on the Li item. Okay, this looks good. Let's actually slightly reduce the vertical padding. So we are using excuse me. So for the cart, we are using this Navbar padding Y Navbar item, and I'm going to actually change this into something like 2. That's for the cart. Let's see the size of the cart. I think this is much better than this one. It's very large in my opinion for mobile. So let me actually do like this. I'm gonna copy everything right here. I'm gonna open new file and paste them. Now I'm gonna search for padding Y and navbar item, and I'm gonna replace this padding Y 2. So I don't want to replace everything right here because we have padding Y navbar item used for desktop version as well, and we don't want it to be replaced. So let's go right here and replace all of them. Save. Now I'm gonna copy everything, go back and replace those ULs, format the code, and that's it. Let me actually delete that UL. Save, and let's have a look. All right, this is something cool. We can apply icon to the home as well. Let's go in the home. Let's search for home. We have it in 2 places. So let's apply this one. Flex, items, center. We applied it, I think, for menu, for mobile. So let's give this one, let's reduce the size. Maybe we need to slightly reduce the size. 5 and 5. And give this one margin right of 3 or 2. And I'm going to copy this one, and we have another home. It's right here. So we're going to paste it, the SVG icon for right here as well. Let's refresh, and now let's expand. We see this home, and we need to change this into flex and items center. Okay, this looks nice. As for the categories and something, for categories, there's nothing. I'm not going to spend more time on that. So we have home, categories, something. We have the desktop menu. We have mobile menu. And I mean, I like it. This looks nice. Let's add a little bit of margin bottom right here for sign up for free. Let's search for login text. We need the first login, which is probably for mobile. Okay, we need this one. And let's actually give this one the L margin top of 3. So that's going to have a little bit of margin, maybe margin Y3. Okay. Okay, I think we are done with the navbar. We have successfully created that. And now we're starting with the most interesting part, which is the listing of the products. So index.html, source index.html. So we don't have successfully, we don't have correctly linked index.html. So let's search for index.html. We need, I think, a slash right here. We search for this and replace with the version with slash. Save it, refresh. Okay, we're on home. When we click on this, it goes in the project root directory, which is something we don't want. Let's search for logo, and let's go into source. Okay, cart, profile, watch list, orders, logout. All right, let me actually display the login and sign up. They are right here. This is login, which is actually visible, but that's for mobile. Here's second nav, and here it is. So let's remove this hidden, and hidden right here as well. Save and refresh. Okay, looks nice. Now let's move on and work on the product listing. I'm going to collapse the header, and create div, and let's add a comment right here, product list. Let's make a comment. I'm going to move this down, and now I'm going to create another div, and we're going to have a couple of let's talk about the structure of this each individual product item. So we're going to have image, we're going to have a div, and inside there we're going to have like maybe h3, and that's going to be the product title maybe, and we're going to have then buttons, one for add into watch list, second into add into cart, and we're going to have also a price. So I'm going to create one paragraph for price, like maybe $70.99. As for the H3, let me actually copy the product title. I don't want to write a dummy title, so I'm going to go in the repository, which is something I have already built that, and go in the product. No, go in the index, and down below, okay, this is the title. Okay, so we save that, and now let's have a look. Okay, we don't see anything useful. Now I'm going to give this product list class of grid. We're going to give grid columns 1. For MD, we need grid cols 2. For LG, we need grid cols 3. And for X large, we need grid cols 4. All right, so I save that. I'm going to give my body actually a class of background gray 200, and the product item, and that's the actual product item. Let's duplicate this and move this down. This one should have background of white. Okay, that looks good. Let's give it padding maybe 3. Okay, let's give this one rounded MD. Let's give this one shadow LG maybe. No, just shadow. Okay, now we need to use the image, an actual image right here. So let me have a look in my GitHub repository. So we have image, and we have a few images right here. So let me actually open them, download, and use them. Click on download. Oops, I bookmarked that mistakenly. So go in the desktop, Tailwind e-commerce, in the source, I'm going to create folder image, and inside there, we save the first one, second one, third one, and last one. Okay, let's close them. Now, if we go in the VS Code, we need to use that source/image, and we need to use the very first image, this one. So we save that and have a look. Okay, this is our product item. The product list, it needs to have some padding of 5 maybe. Okay, this is nice. Okay, the image and the title should be clickable. So we should put the image and title in the anchor link, and that should go on the source product.html. So let me copy this, and inside h3 I'm going to create this anchor tag, and we have the title right there. So when we click, it goes into product HTML, which doesn't exist, but we're going to create later. Then down below that div, we can have another div. Well, here's something which I don't want. So the item has padding. Maybe what I can do is that remove that general padding on the product item. Now the images are basically starting from the very edge. This is another design. Like, we can have it like this, or we can add padding, but I'm going to do it slightly differently. So this is something I like more. So I'm going to give the padding to this content section, not the actual image itself. Okay, and this is how it looks like. And right here, I'm going to create button. Let me actually create another div, which will have a flex justify between, and I'm going to create two buttons. This will be add into watch list, and we need to search for heart to copy that and paste. And the second button will be add into cart. So I want to search for cart, and let me actually copy this one. And for the cart button, I'm going to also show text add to cart. Now, let's see. Okay, let's apply now some stylings on the second button first. It's going to have flex, items center. Okay, the icon will have margin right of 2. And now let's apply some styling on the button. So background purple 500. Text white. Padding Y2, padding X3. Rounded. On hover, we're going to change the background purple into 600. On active, we're going to change the background purple into 700. Let's save this and have a look. This is our button. On hover, it changes the color. Let's add transition as well. So transition colors. Refresh. Okay, nice hover effect. When we click on that, it has that active color. And let's give it a small shadow. Maybe shadow MD. Okay, I think that looks nice. And let's apply some styling on the second button. The second button needs to be a circle, exact circle. So let's give this one width of 16, height of 16. If it's too much, we can reduce. I think it's too much. So maybe half of that. Okay, let's give it some styles and we're going to see that. So flex, items center, justify center. Okay, the button should be in the center. It is not in the center. Flex, item center, justify center. Okay, let's give this one color and see. Text purple 500, maybe. On hover, let's put the hover at the very bottom. On hover, it's going to have text purple 600. Let's give this one also border border purple 500. Let's give this one border class as well. Okay, and it needs to be rounded full. Okay, I'm gonna increase border size into 2, and we can slightly increase the width and height into maybe 10. Okay, let's give this one margin top of 3. Let's give the paragraph font, or let's increase the text LG, and font semi-bold. Okay, this looks good, and let's add some hover effects on this one as well. So on hover, let's give this one, what should we do? Text decoration, text underline maybe. Text maybe simply underline. Okay. Oof, this is something I don't like. Let's remove this. Okay, maybe we can leave this, or maybe we can change the color. Text purple 600 maybe. No. Let's make the color text dark or text black. Okay, let's give this one text gray 700, and on hover we make the color darker. Or maybe vice versa. We have the text black, and on hover we change text gray 800 maybe. Let's give this one also text semi-bold or font semi-bold. Let's change this into 600. Okay, let it be like this. It's not bad. And on the mouse over of the item, product item, I'm going to give this border. Let's specify hover. On hover, I'm going to give this border. On hover, let's actually specify border color. Border purple 600. Oops, I don't like that. Well, it needs to have border, and we just need to change the border color. So border gray 200 maybe. And we need to specify border as well. Maybe this should be 500. That's too much. 300. Okay, I think that is good, but I don't like one thing here. So this is rounded, but this image is not rounded. That's why we see right here non-rounded sharp corner. So maybe on the image we need to add rounded top. Rounded top. Let's see. Okay, I think this looks good. Rounded TMD. Okay, I think this looks good. And on mouse over, Well, we can add this rounded top MD, or we can have overflow hidden. So let me actually show you both ways. So on mouse over, we change the border purple 600 maybe. Okay, let's give this one transition as well. Transition colors. Okay, I think this looks nice. And now on image over, I'm gonna transform the image. So I'm gonna slightly rotate and zoom. So let's add on hover. Let's give this one scale of 105 maybe. Okay, this is how it enlarges. We need to give this one transition. Okay, and the whole div needs to have overflow hidden so that the image doesn't go outside of the parent div. Okay, this is how it looks like. And we can slightly rotate the image as well. So on mouse over, we can call rotate 1. Okay, this is how it looks like. I think that's not bad, in my opinion. So now I can duplicate this product item few more times, format the code, save that, and here we have all the product items. However, on the parent, oh, we have too many. So we need to give this one gap of maybe 6. Okay, so we have gap, we have product items. Oops, I think we have an issue of the index on this submenu. So let's search for my profile and give this one the UL. I think that's for mobile. And second, my profile, this one, which has position absolute. We give the index of maybe 10. Okay, now this is better. Okay, I think there's no effect when we click on this heart icon. Let's search for purple 500. Purple 500. I want this to make it slightly darker. So what if I change this into, let me actually do the second one. So 600. And on hover it's 700, and on active it's 800. So the first one. I think the slight darker variant is much better. And for this heart, let's change this into 700 and this one into 6. And on over, mouse over, we change this into 700. And let's give this one active as well. Or maybe we can inverse the color when we mouse over on this item. So we can give this one on hover. Text will become, we can change this, text will become white, and on hover, background will become purple 500. Save. We need, of course, transition colors. Refresh. Okay, I think we need to change the background color into something like 700. Okay, the text color is 600. Background is transparent. On mouse over, we change the background into 700. I think this should change into 7 as well. And the border is always 700. Okay, and on active, we can give the background purple 800. I think this is nice. Okay, so this one, in my opinion, is slightly better than the other ones. And now I am going to copy this one and basically delete all the others. So I'm gonna, from starting here, from very bottom, I'm gonna delete all the items and then copy and paste few other. Okay, so we have created the product listing. Now we can work, I think, on the product inner page. But I'm going to make a small change right here. I think that the title and the color, title and the price basically looks identical. So in my opinion, the price should be maybe large, text XL. Where did I change that? So we have many variants. I think I changed it right here. Text XL. And font maybe bold. Okay, let's leave it like this. And now I'm going to search for this one and replace with this one. So basically, I'm going to search for all the paragraphs with the old styles, and I'm going to replace with the new one. So all old ones have text large, font semi-bold. We can expand this. And the new ones have text X large, font bold. So replace all. Save, refresh, and that's it. All right, now let's create product page. So I'm going to actually copy and paste index.html and just call this product HTML. And now let's have a look in the browser. Refresh the page. Okay, and here's our product HTML. However, we need to leave the header and delete that product list. And that's going to be product item. Okay, product item. All right, now we're going to split this product item into two parts. Let me actually delete everything inside, or I'm going to delete this whole div. Okay, and recreate new one. And we're going to split this into two parts. I'm going to give this one display of flex with grid calls of 3. And then I'm going to have the left div, which is going to be for the image. I'm going to give this one call span 2. And the other one, which will be on the right side, that's going to have call span of 1. Okay, basically we can remove that call span 1. And right here we're going to have image, and we're going to have a div, and inside the div we're going to have multiple images. And whenever we click, that's going to be thumbnails, and whenever we click on that, generally the idea is that the main image will be activated. But I'm going to create anchor tags, and I'm going to actually create 4 anchor tags, and inside there we're going to create image. Oops. Image. Okay, I don't need that. Okay, inside the anchor I'm going to create image. I'm going to give the href hashtag. As for the image, we're going to have source image 1, and I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. That's going to be 2, it's going to be 3, it's going to be 4. All right, and right here, let's specify the first image. Okay, so we have that. On the right side, we're going to show the product title. Let me actually copy the product title from here. Put this right here. We're going to show product price. It's going to be 70.99, whatever it is. I'm going to also create one section for the reviews. And down below, we're going to have quantity section and button. So I'm going to create div with the quantity. I'm going to create the label right here. That's for quantity. We're going to have input right here, type number. And that's going to be for feedback, reviews. And down below, we're going to have a button. Well, actually, we can create button. This button will have the same class as what we have given to each individual product. Okay, so I can actually create a reusable class now. So that's every time I don't want to copy and paste all these classes for the button. So let's go in the input CSS and I'm going to create a class called btn primary. Okay, and I'm going to use apply and the following classes. Okay, and I'm going to remove all those classes and leave only btn primary. So I'm going to use a bg purple 600, text white, paddings, rounded, transition colors, hover color, active color, and shadow. And now I'm going to use this btn primary on the product page as well. btn primary, and that's going to be add to cart. And we need SVG icon, the following SVG icon as well. And let's give this one flex items center. Save. Let's give this one margin 2. Yeah, it actually already has margin 2. So now let's refresh the page. Yeah, we have a lot of large images. Obviously, we need to adjust the CSS. I'm going to actually hide this section, or I can give a large padding of 64, for example. It's too much. 48. Okay, then work on this area. We need to give gap. That gap creates a space between the image and the right side. Okay, we need let's work on the right side first. So I'm going to collapse this one. We have the title. We can give this one text large, font semi-bold. Okay, that's good. Let's give this paragraph text extra large, font bold. Okay, and now for reviews, I'm going to use star icon. So let's search for star right here. And I'm going to copy this and paste. And the paragraph, to the paragraph, I'm going to give it a class. Well, actually, we need full star and this outline, solid and outline. So solid means it's field. So let's actually paste solid few times. Okay, we have, I think, totally 5 stars right now. 4 of them are solid, 1 of them is not solid, is outline. And I'm going to give this one display of flex. Let's see how this looks. Okay, here it is how it looks. For the outline, we're going to reduce the height and width maybe to 4. And we need to give it items center as well. Okay, now I think this looks nice. Let's give this one color as well. Text orange 300 or maybe 400. Okay, this looks nice. And let's give this one margin bottom 3. Let's give the price margin bottom 3 as well. Okay, this div which has the label and the input, I'm going to give this one flex justify between items center. Okay, and margin bottom 3. Okay, this is how it looks like, and for the button I'm going to give width full and maybe text center. Text center doesn't work for some reason because it has display flags. Let's give it justify center and remove maybe text center. All right, I think the right side is okay. Maybe, well, why doesn't go to the full width? We have 3 columns. This one has 2 columns. Okay, the grid doesn't go to the full width, isn't it? This grid. Yeah, because we have a lot of padding. So maybe we can give it padding Y48. Okay, and maybe padding X of 5. Okay, yeah, I think this is good. We can actually put some description right here. I'm going to actually take the description from my GitHub again, from the ready project. Let's go in the repositories. This one, go in the source, and let's open product. And down below, somewhere, where's that? And that's actually header. Here it is. Here is the description below add to cart. So I'm going to actually take the table paragraph H4 and UL. So that's basically the description which generally comes from rich text editors. Okay, so down below I'm going to create a div, and inside the div I'm going to paste everything. Now let's save this and have a look. Okay, this is how it looks like. I'm going to work on the styling of this area. Okay, so basically that content comes from the rich text, and that's why from the rich text editor you cannot actually add Tailwindcss classes. So we don't know what rich text editor it will be, and it probably will not support Tailwindcss classes, and it's not a recommended thing to do. So what we need to do is to create general styles in the input CSS. So I'm going to write for the table, maybe I'm going to do like this. So I'm not going to style every table, but instead I'm going to give this div a class which identifies that the content inside the div comes from rich text editor. So maybe we can give this rich text editor or WYSIWYG editor. Let's call it what you see is what you get editor. Okay, and now I'm going to style table which is inside that WYSIWYG editor. Okay, now I'm going to make the first TD bold and the second normal, and we need to give it a padding as well. So for the table, inside the table, for the TD, I'm going to apply padding of 2, and we can have a look. Maybe we can apply padding x2 and padding y1. And let's duplicate this. For the TD, which is the first child, I'm gonna give it font bold. Okay. And for the table in general, let's give this text gray 700. Okay, or maybe 600. So it's a gray color, maybe 500 or 400. Yeah, it turns. I was looking at this. So maybe 500 or 600 will be okay. Yeah, that's okay. But I'm going to actually give that text gray to the WYSIWYG editor itself. we're going to use apply text gray 600. Okay, and now right here we have this about the item, which is the H4. So we basically applied those basic styles to the table. Okay, the only thing we need is maybe create a horizontal bar right here with margin of vertical 5, something like this. But the bar is not visible because it has the same color as the background, so maybe we can give it a PG white. No, we don't see that. Where is that? Here it is. Background color. It should have PG or text white. This one has, I thought it had background color, but it has border color. Okay, then border white. Yeah, there exists border white. Okay, so here we have this nice separation, and down below let's search for H4. So let me collapse the table. We have some paragraph, we have H4, and under WYSIWYG editor, let me actually duplicate this. Let's write for H3 and H4, maybe H5 as well. Let's apply margin top of 3. So we have this margin top, maybe margin top of 4. And let's give this one font bold as well. Okay, so here we formatted the description, which is about the item. So right side is more or less okay. The only thing is missing, the input is something which I don't like, and I'm going to work on that as well. So we can write a text right here, how many reviews there are, because later we can implement a reviews page as well. So let's go on the product, and so here we have those stars, which is inside the paragraph. I'm going to actually put this whole paragraph in a div, and the div will have flex again and items center, and then we have paragraph, and next to the paragraph we're going to have anchor tag, for example 64 reviews. And this is how it looks, and the paragraph has, I think, margin bottom, which should be removed from the paragraph and added to the div. Let's collapse the paragraph. Okay, we can give these reviews margin left 3, and let's apply some styling to these reviews. Okay, let's give these what just happened? Yeah, it already has class. So let's give this text purple 700, and on mouse over text purple 600. Okay, I think that's nice. Okay, now we can work on this input. Tailwind actually has plugin for inputs. So let's search for Tailwindcss forms plugin. And here we have that. Let me actually expand this as well. And let's scroll down below, and this is how we need to install, and then we need to require that in the Tailwind config.js. So we can actually copy this, go in the VS Code, bring up the terminal. We have actually 2 terminals. I'm going to go in the second one, and I'm going to paste this to install Tailwindcss forms. And then I'm going to copy the require, open the Tailwind config.js, and add this inside plugins. So I save this. I think it doesn't need to rebuild. So we have this running using npx Tailwindcss. Let me actually quickly create a script for that as well. So actually copy this, open package.json, and under scripts, I'm going to create dev, and this. So whenever we run npm run dev, it's going to be behind run the following script, and we have it. All right, let's actually have a look in the browser. Okay, now this input looks slightly differently, and we can apply some styles to this input. Let's go in the product, and here we have that input. I'm going to give this one text. Well, we can leave the text. Let's give this border purple, maybe 600. Let's give this one border size of 2. Well, the border purple 600, I want this to be given on focus. Okay, so this one has probably some outline as well, or ring maybe. So on focus, we edit border. On focus, we need to give a ring purple 600 as well. Okay. Let's try to remove border. I think we don't need that. No, we need that. Let's remove border 2. Okay, I think this looks nice. We can reduce slightly the padding, which is in my opinion too much. Padding Y2, padding X3 maybe. Does this work? Yeah, that works. Yeah, I think that looks nice. Let's give this one border gray 200 or border gray 400 maybe. Okay, yeah, so the forms plugin basically gives some basic styling to the inputs and forms, form elements, and just like this, we can use that. It has much more than for the input. It has, let's have a look in the documentation. So we can have a look there, live demo. So you can style your inputs as well as checkboxes. This one is rounded. This one is custom checkbox. This one is also custom. What if we try to apply rounded? So let's give this one rounded. Okay. I think this looks prettier. Maybe let's change this into 300. Okay, I like this. And I'm going to give this one also a width of maybe 16. The existing width is too much. Maybe 24. Okay, so by default, this one should have a value of 2. I'm adding one item into my cart. Okay, so the right side is okay. Now let's focus on this image section. So I'm going to collapse this and expand this. All right, let me actually put this div, the image inside a div, and I'm going to give this div aspect square. Okay, so the div is square. This div needs to have flags, and each image basically needs to have a width of 48. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's too much. 36. Again, too much. 24. I think this looks okay. And this image, I want to put this image in the center. If I just zoom out, I think zoom out simply doesn't work. I can't see these thumbnails and the image. So because we gave it aspect square, that has a very large area for the image, which is, I think, okay. So let's have a look like this maybe. Okay, let's actually put this image in the center. So the aspect square needs to have flex, items center, justify center. Okay, the item goes in the center. We can actually reduce this maybe to 16. Okay, I think that's good. And whenever mouse over, I want you to change some color, the border color, to give me feedback that I mouse overed on that. So on the A, I'm gonna give it a border gray 200. On hover, it's gonna change into purple. Sorry, it should be border purple 600. Save that. Okay, let's give this transition colors. Okay, this looks good. Whenever someone clicks on that, it should activate. That we can of course do this later. I'm going to do this later whenever I basically add Alpine.js into this project, but I want all those images to be centered. Okay, they are not actually centered. So, oops, let's actually give this one flex, items, center, justify, center. Okay, now my images are in the center. Now, I'm going to work on the arrows, because if there are more than 4 images, maybe if there are 10 images, we need to see arrows on the left and arrows on the right. Okay, so let's open VS Code. And right here in this area, I'm going to create 2 span elements. That's going to be for left arrow and another one for the right arrow. And we need to copy the arrows. It's going to be chevron, I think, chevron left here and chevron right here. Okay, so let's collapse the SVG elements and let's see how it looks. So we have 2 arrows. We're going to make both to be absolute, to have absolute positioning. Both needs to have top coordinate 0, and height needs to have both full, so h full. We need to give both padding horizontal of 2 maybe, and on hover we need to, let's give it actually BG black, but I'm not gonna use actual black. I'm gonna use a transparent black. Okay, and on mouse over, we're gonna use BG black, even less transparent, something like this. So let's have a look. And of course, this one needs to be relative, position relative. Okay. Now let me actually give, the first one is to have left coordinate 0. The second one, well, this one needs to have the same thing. And this one will have right coordinate 0. I mistakenly closed that. Let's product HTML. Okay, now we have the left arrow and the right arrow. Let's give this both of them the index of 10. I think padding is too much. Let's change it to 1. And then we can give flex and items center. Okay, so the arrows are in the center. Let me actually change the arrow color into text white. Okay, I think the padding is not necessary. I think this looks good. Well, actually, these should not be span elements. Maybe they should be clickable elements like A, maybe, or button. Let's create A with href. Okay. Okay, here we have that effect. Well, nothing really happens at this moment, but here we have that thumbnails for the image, and we have these arrows. I think this looks good. So in my opinion, this section is too much. Maybe we can split it into 5 parts, and the image has 3 columns, and the right hand side has span 2 columns. Okay, I think that's better, in my opinion. Or we can change the aspect from square into maybe video. Okay, and in this case, this is how it looks like. Or aspect auto. Yeah, we don't need actually auto. Well, if I change this image into second, the auto moves the thumbnails down. If I set this into video, then, well, this one still moves down. If this one is square, I think it should be square. Okay. Okay, so we have created product inner page with add to cart button and changing quantity, and we have the link to reviews and nice description of the product, arrows for the thumbnails, and everything that's necessary for the product inner page. Let me actually remove this padding Y and just change this into padding 5. Okay, this is my product page. All right. I think we need to move on the next page, and the next page can be maybe cart page. Okay, let's do that. Okay, I'm going to actually copy and paste product HTML and call this cart HTML. Now, let's open the browser, refresh the page, and this is our page, but we're going to, of course, clean up something. So I'm going to actually delete everything, and I'm going to create H1. My cart items, and then let's create div with background white, rounded large, padding of 3, and inside there we're going to create cart items. I'm going to actually put this in a container with the width of, well, it's going to have full width on mobile, but for the large screen, I'm going to give it width of 3/2. 2/3, sorry. And down below we have that this H1 should be inside that div as well. And of course, the container needs to have margin X auto to be in the center. For the H1, I'm going to give this text 3XL. The container actually needs to have padding as well, in my opinion. or we can wrap everything inside a div, which will have padding 5. Okay, so this one needs to have font bold as well, margin bottom 2. So here are my cart items, and now let's create cart item. We're going to have image. We're going to have h3 tag. We are going to have price. On the left side, I'm going to show image. On the right side, I'm going to show title and price, but I'm going to show them next to each other. So I'm going to wrap this in a div. So that's going to be title. And right here, I'm going to show price. And we need to show quantity field as well, and button to remove from the cart. So I'm going to wrap those in another div. And let me actually take the product title, product item, span 2. Here is title. Let's put this right here. And another div. Right here, we're going to show quantity. And I'm going to show actually a select. So we can show input type number, but I'm going to show select right now with a few options, of course. Value 1, it's going to be 1. If we duplicate that, it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I'm going to show remove button as well. So let's actually leave this and see how it looks like. Let's put right here image as well. Source image first. That's too large, of course. We need to give it width of 24. Let's give it 36. Okay, then this one, this div needs to have flex. I'm going to give it gap of 4. Nice. Then we have another div, and I'm going to give this one flex as well. Justify between. Okay, now on the left side, no, this one, this doesn't need flex. This one should have flex and justify between. Now let me actually give this padding y of 48. Okay, right here we have this price. We have the quantity right here, and I'm going to show a remove button right here. Okay, so this div is bottom div. We have the quantity. I'm going to put this in a input, like it's an input group, something like this. Oops. Come on. I copy something else. So I copy this. So this one needs to have flex. Items center. This one needs to have flex. Justify between. And right here, we're going to have remove with text text purple 600 on mouse over, text purple 500. Okay, Let's collapse this. So this is this div. Here we have that. So we have bottom area, top area, and this one we can give it flex and flex column and justify between. So in this case, if we increase the image width, let's increase the image width even more. I want to show you something. So it always makes sure that this remove and this quantity is at the bottom. Okay. And this title and the price is at the top. And this one needs also items center. Okay. Okay, this looks nice. Let's reduce this size into 36. Let's zoom in everything. Let's give the price text large, font bold, or font semi-bold. And as for the input, I'm going to give this margin left of 3, padding Y 1, border gray 200, on focus border purple 600, and it has ring as well. Focus ring purple 600. Okay, and we can give the header section margin bottom 3 as well to create additional space between the title and this bottom area when the image is very small in height and they are very close to each other. Okay, so this is the cart item. I'm going to create HR right here with class margin Y3, and I'm going to duplicate now. Okay, so here we have few items. Okay, remove, we change the quantity, it updates automatically. And I think this looks good. So let's change the images just for the sake of curiosity, how it looks like. Okay, let's change this one as well. Okay, I think this looks good. We can create the image, and now this one has much more height than this one, and that's because the image has different height, but we can actually create a fixed section area and fixed height area, and inside there we can put the image, but I think that's totally fine how it is right now. I'm going to create a bottom section for the cart, so that 1, 2, 3. I think we have too many items. I'm going to remove last 2. Okay, and I'm going to create below an area. This one is my cart items. Okay, let's create another div, and that will have a text of subtotal. Let's actually give this class of flex, and we need to give it justify between. Then we have span right here with subtotal, and another span with the actual subtotal, like for example 165.99. Okay, so this is subtotal. This should be part of the white section. So this one has white. Let me actually wrap everything in another div and move this up. Okay, let's give this one border top 2, border gray 300, margin top 3, margin top 5. I think they should be border top 1. Or simply border top. And this one needs to have also padding top 5. And for the subtotal, let's give it font bold. And let's create, this is the whole section basically. So I'm going to put everything in a div with flex and justify between, and I'm going to create another paragraph with the text shipping and tax will be applied on checkout. And we have that text, and down below I'm going to create a button with the class btn primary checkout and with the width of full. Let's give this one margin top of 3. Okay, here is our cart section. Let me actually remove this padding Y48 and just have padding 5. Okay, so this is our cart page. I think this looks nice. Next one is my profile, watch list, orders. We have a lot of pages actually remaining. So let's start with watch list. Okay, for watch list, let me actually copy and paste a cart, and I'm going to call this watch list. Let's collapse the header. My watch list items. The items basically look, the watch list page looks very similar to the cart page, except that it doesn't have quantity. So we can search for QTY, and that quantity section can be fully removed, in my opinion. Then the remove jumps right here, and we can give it justify end. We have the price, we have title, we have image. So let's completely remove QTY and justify end. Remove QTY, justify end, remove QTY, justify end, and remove the subtotal and checkout as well. Okay, so this is my watchlist items. Okay, as far as we created our own reusable components, now it's getting much easier to create other pages. So we have cart, we have watchlist, we have home page, and we don't have anything else. All right, let's move on and create login and sign up page. Okay, let's start with login. I'm going to copy and paste index in this case. Oops. Login HTML. So I'm going to delete content section and create one div. With the H2, probably login to your account and paragraph, or I'm going to create an anchor link right here with source sign up HTML, or create log into your account or create new one. Refresh that. Okay, so we need this to have a fixed width of let's give it 400 pixel. This needs to be in the center. We can give it a margin X auto and margin top of 8 maybe. Okay, now we're going to adjust stylings as we go, but down below I'm going to create two inputs. Input, this is going to have placeholder your email, and another one your password. Okay, let's create button with class btn primary, and that's going to be, it's going to have text login. I'm going to actually use the login icon as well. So let's search for login at the top. Here we have that SVG icon. Now let's search for login at the bottom. Here we have it. Paste. Format the code. Okay, this looks ugly, obviously. I'm gonna wrap. This is H2 paragraph, one input, second input. So I'm going to create actually a div for each individual input. And the button needs to have width full. This one needs to have also flex and items center, and justify center as well. But I want this one to have a different color. So I'm going to use BG Emerald 600 on hover, or maybe let's start with the 500. On hover, it's going to be BG Emerald. Basically, I want the same type of button as I have for sign up for free. So if I search for sign up for free, here we have those styles. And that's BG Emerald 500, BG Emerald 600 on hover. On click, we don't have any styles. Okay, I'm going to create, in the input CSS, I'm going to create second button. And that's going to be BG. Let me actually replace all purple with emerald. But we can start with 500, then we're going to have 600, and then we're going to have 700. Okay, so I save that. That should be BTN green or BTN emerald. Let's give this one also BTN emerald. Save that. Now this one is BTN emerald, but that is in the login. Yeah, that is BTN emerald. But why doesn't have anything on active? Emerald. Okay. Emerald. I think this is something is wrong. So let's make some changes. Rebuilding works. On active, it doesn't do anything. I think this button is for mobile. I think so. Here it is. Here it is for desktop. BTN emerald. Save that. Now this is here. Okay, and I want to have the same button for login. So let's change this into BTN Emerald. Okay, that looks good. Let's give this one margin top of 3 as well. Or maybe we can give these divs margin bottom 3. The inputs should also have width of full. I'm gonna make them rounded. I'm gonna give them border gray 200. I like that. Maybe border gray 300. That looks good. And let's give this everything padding Y of 48. Okay, now we're gonna center this and this. And let's actually give the whole div text center. I think this is okay. Yeah, so the H2 has text LG or maybe text XL, maybe 2XL. Log into your account. We need to give it font semi-bold as well, margin bottom of 2 maybe. Or create new one. That new one is a link, so it needs to have text purple 600, and on hover it's going to be text purple 500. So let's collapse that. Okay. Now I'm going to give this one a margin bottom of 4 maybe. Okay, log into your account or create new one. On focus, let's add focus on the inputs. On focus, we're going to have border purple 600, and on focus we're going to change also ring into purple 600. Okay, the inputs look great. Let's remove the padding Y48. The form looks nice. Let's apply more margin top. I'm going to put also a checkbox for remember me and link to password reset. That create new one goes to the sign up basically. Okay, so let me create another div. This one should have also margin bottom 3, and we need to have input type checkbox. Let me actually create a label for remember me. Remember me. Okay. That should be remember me. I'm going to give this one ID. Remember me. Okay, but I want first checkbox, then label. I want this. That's the div. Let's actually put this in its own div. And we have that remember me, and we're going to put a link for request or reset your password. That will go into source, request password or password reset HTML. Okay, let's see. So this one needs to have flex, justify between, and that's already good. This one needs to have this one needs to have text purple, on hover. We need to have text, well, the color should be text purple 600. I'm thinking, so I have that written on many places, that text purple 600, and on hover text purple 700 or vice versa. I have this written on many places. What if I create a general style, which is basically something Tailwindcss doesn't have? So this one fades out, this one fades in. So this should be actually, on hover it should be 500, something like this. So what I'm thinking is that creating a very general style like I created for this, for every A, I'm going to apply text purple 600 for every A. And if I just remove all those classes, so my A now has text purple 600, and I need to apply for hover as well. So I just duplicate this for A on hover. We're going to apply text purple 700 or 500. This will save a lot of time, right? So in some cases, I'm going to use the old-fashioned, like non-Tailwind CSS approach. Okay, so I want links to always be this color. And now look at this, what happened. Okay, now let's learn a lesson from here. So one of the advantages of Tailwindcss, when Tailwindcss is talking about, is that changing one thing will not break anything else when using Tailwindcss, and that's absolutely true. So if we go on the Tailwindcss homepage, maybe go in the docs and scroll down below, utility first approach. Okay, where is that? So here are the reasons why Tailwindcss is good. You aren't wasting energy inventing class names, that's true. Your CSS stops growing, that's actually true. Making changes feels safer. CSS is global and you never know what you are breaking when you make a change. So this is something we need to remember. So I have tons of experience when making change in one place ruins my CSS into another. I tried to now do something which I used to do before Tailwindcss, and that broke everything. Look at this. So every link now has different color. If I don't want this now, I have to go in my VS Code, and I created those styles, but now I have to do like inside header, the A needs to have a different color. Okay, and finally you have the same framework you used to have before, like it's like a Bootstrap or anything else. So the Tailwindcss approach, I'm not against Bootstrap, I really like Bootstrap, but Tailwindcss approach is something very different from Bootstrap. Okay, and right now, because we are creating HTML and we are repeating this, that actually is slightly inconvenient, because I had to always write these classes, text purple 600 on hover, text purple 500. But actually, when you start implementing the Tailwindcss with a framework like Laravel, for example, and you create components in Laravel which already has the following classes, then it gets much easier. Okay, so I'm going to now delete what I have wrote right here because that breaks in somewhere else. Okay, now that's much better. Now let me actually style this checkbox. So this one has probably ring and then this check. Okay, let's go. And the checkbox needs to have text purple 600. Okay, that's good. On focus, it has ring purple 600. And that's it. Okay, we have our checkbox. However, I think we need to give this one flex, items, center once again. And the checkbox needs to have margin right of 3 or 2. Okay, this is our login form, which I think looks good. Now let's create the signup page. I'm going to copy and paste my login HTML and call this signup HTML. Let's collapse the header. And for the signup, we change the text, create new account or login with existing one. That goes to login HTML. Then we have one input for your name, your email, your password. Repeat, let's just call this password. Repeat password. And we don't, of course, want remember me section. And of course, we don't need reset password here. So I'm going to remove that. And the text will be sign up. And let's remove this SVG. Now let's go to the registration, create new account or login with existing one. Your name, your email, password, repeat password. Okay, this is very simple registration form. It doesn't need anything. Click sign up. It should submit. Well, actually, we should create form. We haven't created form, right? So let's go in the VS Code and I'm going to actually put, including buttons, put everything in the form. So let's create form. The action will be source. That's sign up HTML. The method will be obviously post. Paste everything right here. Refresh the page and sign up submits. Okay, we can do the same thing for login, and I think we should do because those are forms. Get everything, form, source, login HTML, method is post, paste, format, refresh, go to the login page, click on sign up, and that's it. So I'm going to change this remember me color as well. So let's go in the login page and search for remember me. And let me change the text into gray 500. No, gray 600. What about 7? Okay, 7 is better. Okay, we created a login and sign up pages now. We can create now reset your password. And that's password reset HTML. So I'm going to copy and paste login HTML and call this password reset HTML. It should not be uppercase. Password reset HTML. Okay. Enter your email to reset password. or login with existing email, existing account. I don't know. Let's just leave this. Login HTML. So let's format this code. That should go into password reset HTML. So we just enter email. We don't need remember me or anything. Just remove the SVG and let's just call this submit. So enter your email to reset password or login with existing account. Okay, this is our password reset page. Okay, what's remaining? We have now my profile. So let's implement my profile. I'm going to copy and paste. Which page? Let's copy and paste cart. Okay, let's go in the cart, copy and paste. And I'm going to call this profile. Okay. Now, in the profile page, I'm going to have two columns. Let's call this my profile details. Then right here, well, actually, I'm gonna have two columns, as I mentioned. On the left side, I'm gonna have general information. On the right side, I'm gonna have password update. Let me actually delete everything. Okay. Then I'm gonna create div with background white, padding 3, shadow, rounded LG. And we're going to have H2 right here, your profile or my profile or profile details. I don't know. The naming things is my weakest part. Then we're going to have inputs, and I'm going to take inputs from the login page. So we already have those inputs. So I'm going to have email. I'm going to have name, email, and phone. So your name, your email, and phone. Okay, save that. And here it is. That should have text 2XL, font semi-bold, margin bottom of 2. So we have profile details right here. That is profile details. I'm going to create another div with class of grid. Grid calls 3. Then this one will have call span 2. Okay, think this looks nice. We're going to have another div which will have call span 1, so we can remove that. We need to create also gap of 6, not peg, gap of 6. And that's going to be for the profile. Let's give this padding Y or padding top 48. Okay, now let's call this update password. We are going to have right here your current password. That should be input type password, of course. We're going to have new password. Let me actually delete those and duplicate this. Okay, it's going to be new password. Repeat new password. Okay, and down below we're going to have button, class btn emerald. That's going to be update. This one, yeah, this one looks good. Let's move up and finalize the profile details. So we have profile details. I'm going to create another h2 right here. That's going to be billing address. And then down below, we're going to have 6 fields actually. Okay, so I'm going to create div with class grid. Grid calls to, and I'm going to copy and paste those inputs. Okay, we have 2 columns. Let's give this gap 3. Now this is going to be address 1. The second will be address 2. Let me actually remove this margin button. Okay, we have address 1, address 2. This one needs to have margin bottom of 3. And now I can duplicate this 2 times. This one, so we have address 1, address 2. We're going to have city and state, country and zip code. Okay, that's going to be city. That's going to be state. We are going to have country, but the country will be select. Select. With, I'm going to add a few options right here. That's going to be Georgia. It's going to be USA. It's going to be India. And let's add one more, Germany. Okay, and we need to copy those styles. Let's remove the ID. Well, we actually need names everywhere, but because we're not going to submit yet, so we can leave them empty. So I'm going to remove the name as well. And let's remove these. Okay, and instead of Georgia, I'm going to write select country. And that will be an empty. Okay, and the last one will be a zip code. Okay, so we have profile details. We have, I think the font size is too large for the profile details. So let's change this into text XL. And let's give the second one margin top of 3 or 5. Okay, now I'm going to copy and paste this section. And just change a few things. So that's going to be shipping address now, shipping address. But I'm going to create another checkbox right here. So I'm going to put this h2 in a div with class flex, justify between, and let's create a label right here for same as billing address. And then inside, let's create input type checkbox. The text will be same as billing. Okay, here is our checkbox. Clicking on the label does not work because this one needs ID. Okay, and we need to apply some stylings. Class, let's now open login and search for remember. Here is remember. Let's copy the checkbox classes and put them right here. Okay, I think margin right 1 or 2 will be enough. But we need to adjust margin. So this MB2 needs to be moved at the top. Okay, what happens? We have margin top as well. So let's remove this margin top and add it right here. Okay, so that's nice. And at the very bottom, so we have shipping address, we have billing address, we have shipping address. The shipping address has margin top. We can even increase that 6. And at the very bottom, let's add button. That button will be update. It's going to have class btn emerald w full. Okay, here's our profile section. This one has a lot of white space. I don't like that. So I'm going to give this one items start maybe. Yeah, just like this. And let's remove padding top. Okay, this looks cool. Profile details. This one has larger font. I think that should be text XL. Okay, so if I just inspect that UL, delete that. Okay, this looks nice. I just want to change the color of this like we have in the login. Text gray 700. So I copy that. Let's search for same as. And for the label, let's give it text gray 700. Okay, amazing. So we have my profile as well. We have watch list, we have login, sign up, basically everything except orders page. All right, now let's create orders page. For orders, we're going to create table. So let me actually, I can copy and paste everything, anything basically. Orders HTML. So let's remove everything. Well, actually, I need something similar like it is inside the watch list. So let's open watch list and let's take this container in padding and H1 and this PG white. Okay, so okay, here we have that. And I'm going to call this my orders. Save. Go in the orders. Here we have my orders. That should be table. We have T head, we have TR, TH, and we have order number. We have order date. Let's call it date. We have status. We have subtotal, and we have some actions. Okay, this one is a table, and we don't have any styles for the table. Let's search inside the Tailwind documentation how tables are styled. Table layout, table auto, table fixed. So if we just inspect those, each individual TD is styled. Okay, this is how it works. Okay, first of all, let's give this table auto width of full. Okay, that's good. Let's give this one padding top 48 or maybe 36. Okay, now we need to create dummy records. Inside tbody, let's create tr. Then we're going to have 5td. So that's going to be order number, and I'm going to create anchor tag for that, which will go into order details.html. And we can write order number 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one, this anchor needs to have class text purple 600, and on hover text purple 500. Then we have date, and I'm going to write simply 10th of May, maybe like 2100. Okay, that's the date. The th has text center, so let's give them text left, class text left. Okay, what about status? So status can be paid, unpaid, or pending. So I'm going to create span with class bg gray 400, and that's going to be unpaid. Let's give this padding y1, padding x2, and slightly rounded SM, or simply rounded. And it should be unpaid, and we need to give it a text white as well. Okay, so the status is unpaid. We need to have other variations, like background orange 400, that's going to be pending. We're going to have background red 400, that's going to be unpaid. And we're going to have background green 400, which will be paid. Well, this is something I don't like, maybe 600. Okay, or we can change this into, again, emerald 600 or 400. Yeah, I generally experiment, try to choose my preferred color. Okay, these colors are okay. The next field is subtotal, and that should be simply a number. So I'm going to write any random number here. And then we have actions. Inside actions, I'm going to have two buttons. One will be to view invoice, and second button to be make a payment. Okay, I need to apply some styling to the button. So let's use btn primary on both. btn primary. Let's just call this pay. And btn primary, I want to use also icons. So if we go in the hero icons, let's search for pay. Here we have credit card, nice icon. So I want to put this right here. As for the invoice, I think there is no invoice. There might be something related to file or document. Document text. Let's copy this and paste this right here. Oops, refresh it. Let's zoom out. Okay, this looks awful. I'm gonna give this td text no wrap, or how it's white space no wrap. Okay, what's going on? View invoice and pay, they are splitted. Class white space no wrap does not work. Let's give this one width of 64. Okay, something weird is happening. We have SVG, of course. We have SVG. So this both should have flex items center. Okay, nice. Let's remove width of 64. Simply let's just write white space no wrap. Or we might not even need that. Let's give it a flex maybe. Okay, let's give it gap of 3. Gap of 2. I want this one to have a width of 100 or 200 pixel maybe. I want the buttons to be on the same line. White space no wrap. Okay, I think this happens because we have a lot of statuses. So simply let's comment those statuses. And this looks good. For the view invoice, I'm going to change the button into emerald. Let's slightly reduce the icon size. And I think this is okay. I think it's more than okay. I like it. All right, now I need to duplicate this. We can add padding and then we can duplicate. Let's give this padding of 2. Maybe we can give border bottom 2. And we need to give padding to every TD as well. Class padding of 2. We already have class right here, so we can combine 2 classes into one. Okay, this looks nice. Now, let me duplicate this TR second time and have a look. I think this looks nice. However, I prefer slightly smaller padding. Vertical padding, padding Y1, padding X2. Let's see how this looks. Let's duplicate this TR. I think that's much better. And we can reduce the padding of the button as well. Let's undo the duplication. Move down below, find those buttons, and let's give them padding Y1. I think it doesn't work. It doesn't work because it already has some styles. Well, I think that's not a big deal. This one has BTN primary, which has padding top. And my paddings are not simply working. That's the disadvantage of creating your own classes. So one day you add some padding and simply it's not going to work. Let's try to add this before BTN. Okay, maybe we have to work on that part. And simply later when we integrate this into any framework, of course creating e-commerce websites, e-commerce HTML templates doesn't make any sense. So if we're doing this for practice, That's of course very helpful, and we're going to have a good practice in Tailwind CSS. But if you're building something real and create this HTML and CSS, it means that finally you're going to integrate this in one of the backend frameworks, right? And I'm sure your backend framework will have possibility to create reusable components. And then you can simply remove the BTN Emerald and BTN Primary and create a BTN button component inside which you can have all those classes which are written in the BTN, all those classes. Okay, and that's going to give you benefit that later you can reapply or merge its classes with your own classes, and your padding Y0 will take effect. Okay, so let's have a look. The reducing size doesn't work, so I'm going to leave this right now as it is. I can, of course, find some solutions, but in this case, I have to go back in all buttons and add paddings right there. So let's leave this as it is right now. Maybe we can fix that later. So I'm going to duplicate this. Now we have two. Well, actually, we need to give border bottom. Okay, so let's duplicate this 5 times. Okay, nice. Now I'm going to change the status into maybe pending. So this one is pending. Let's collapse. This one, let's delete everything. So this one is unpaid. This one is paid. And that's it. So we have all variations. Okay, and that's how my orders page looks like. That's pretty cool. What's remaining? So the only thing I see remaining is the order details page. We do have my profile, watch list, orders, login, sign up, password reset, cart. Yes, so the only thing is remaining is the order details page. So now let's create that. I'm going to copy and paste orders, and I'm going to call this order details. Collapse the header. And we have this container, we have this title, and we have this card. So I'm going to remove the table, or I'm going to leave the table because I might need that for something else. Oops, I clicked in the wrong place. So let's remove the T head. Let's actually remove every TR, and I'm going to create my own TR with 2 TDs. That's going to be order number. We can make this TH, and that will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's duplicate this TR. We're going to have order date. It's going to be 10th of May 2100. We're going to have order status, and that's going to be, let me actually copy unpaid. I think this one is also unpaid. That should be actually failed, like when the payment was failed, processing of payment was failed. But let me actually copy that and paste this right here, and let's change this into gray 400. And down below we will have a subtotal, some random number. Okay, go inside the order details, and this is how it looks. Let's change this into TD. I don't want it to be in the center. Now let's remove the W full, remove any classes. Okay, this is all I want. However, the first TDs, I want to make it semi-bold. Font semi-bold. Or maybe font bold. Then we give it padding of 2 as well. It's too much, padding Y1, padding X2. And down below, that's the order, very minimalistic order details page. And down below that, we are going to simply put the order items, and I'm gonna copy them from the cart maybe. So here is cart item. I'm gonna just take with HR and paste this right here, format and have a look. Okay, we have the quantity. Well, we can actually change this select into simply number, quantity 5, for example. And we need to have right here HR, class margin Y5. Okay, so now we duplicate this few times, and here are all the items. And if the order is unpaid, we can show additional payment button at the very bottom, just like it is in the cart, just like this one. So I'm going to copy this, put this right here, and we can call this make a payment. Save. Okay, so this is my orders page. Well, let's remove padding top 36, and I think we need to remove the padding top from the orders page as well, from here as well. Okay, and let's search for unpaid on the orders page. Let's delete all those comments. Here are the comments, and that should be failed. Okay, looks good. So my orders profile, my orders has very large. Yeah, it has padding twice. Okay, let's have a look. So it has padding right here and right here as well. So I think this one is not necessary. So let's remove that. Format the code, save my orders. Let's have a look in the watch list. I think we have something similar in the watch list. So let's remove the inner div. My watch list, let's go in the cart section. I think we have something in the cart, something similar in the cart as well. So let's save that. Cart, my profile, watch list, orders, and order details. Order details. Let's remove this div from there as well. Okay. I think we have created everything. Now let's test everything on responsiveness, because we want this to be fully responsive. Okay, if we go like this, then we see this navigation. Oops, on mouse over, this overlaps the mobile menu. So now let's go in the index and find that mobile menu. I think this is the mobile menu. This one doesn't have the index, so let's give it Z20. Okay, now it doesn't overlap. Okay, so let's give this one left of minus 220 pixel. This is how it looks on mobile. Now let's open cart HTML, and we need to hide the menu on cart HTML as well. Let me actually we know that the mobile menu is responsive, right? So I'm going to copy this header and put everywhere. So in cart, in login, in order details, in orders, in password reset, in product HTML, in profile, in sign up, and watch list. Okay, now we already noticed some bugs for cart. Look at this images, how images are stretched. Now let's go in the cart and have a look. So this one has flex. I think we need to give it a line center. Look at this. Now this looks much better. And we need to, let me actually find flex and gap and replace that with flex, items, center, and gap. Okay, now all our items look much better. However, on a very small screen, there are screens even smaller, so we can start like Pixel 5, for example, or iPhone XR or iPhone SE. So this is very, very small screen. So we need to rearrange items. So how should we do that? Let me open the very first item, and then when we can duplicate that when we apply some styling right there. Okay, so we have image and the right section, and we have flex. So basically what we can do is that we can give this one flex call, and now the first one looks already much better. But for the empty screen and above, we can give flex row. Okay, now if we just activate responsiveness, it's well, actually it should not be MD, it should be above SM. Okay, I think this is okay. So it looks nice for basically any screen size, the first item, right? Okay, and the only thing we did was adding flex call, and then for screens SM and above, flex row. So let's search for flex and item center, and I'm going to add right here flex call and SM and above flex row. Let's replace. How many cases we have there? We have a lot of cases. We don't want it to be replaced everywhere. Let's search for gap as well. Gap 4. Gap 4. Replace. Save. Okay. Now this looks much better. So on large screen, this is how cart looks like. On smaller screen, this is how cart looks like. Okay, let's move on the next page, which is my profile. So reduce this size, and in my opinion, simply the password needs to move down. So let's go in the profile, and we have grid calls 3. And that grid calls 3 is actually for screens above MD. Or by default, we can give grid calls 1. Okay, it's now column 3, and now it's column 1. But what is this? This one has much bigger. Yeah, this one should not have call span. Where it is, call span. So this one should have call span above MD. Now this looks better. Okay, so here is this large and small. And for even very small screens, like we can even move this on the next line, but I think this looks fine. So we can write Tbilisi, state Tbilisi. Yeah, I think this is okay. Okay, let's move on the next page, which is Watchlist. So we should do something similar on Watchlist what we did for the cart. So let's open Watchlist. First, we add right here items center, and we also add flex call and SM flex row. Let me actually copy this. First of all, let's have a look. This looks nice. And now let's put this right here, here, and here. I think we have 4 items in watch list. Okay, so here's now responsive watch list. So this is one thing I really like in Tailwind CSS, that you can very easily make your website responsive. You don't have to go into a separate CSS file, make some adjustments right there. So you don't need to do that. You can very easily make your website responsive. Okay, here it is. Let's move on the next page, which is orders. So what should we do for the orders? I think we can't do anything except showing a horizontal arrow, because that's a table. Okay, horizontal scroll bar. So if we go in the orders, find where we have that table, and on that parent element of the table, let's give it width of, or let's give it a mean width of 800 pixels, something like this, and overflow x auto. Now let's see, if we zoom out, it looks nice. If we start resizing, now we don't see that. This one was actually stretched. So this one has mean width. It should not have mean width. Now let's actually just add overflow x auto, nothing else. It doesn't work. We can't give it max width, obviously. Well, we can give, but it doesn't make any sense. This one should have also white space no wrap, in my opinion. So if we go in the T-body, find this and give it white space no wrap. Okay, now we need to see horizontal scroll. We actually see that, but it's not how we expect that. So let's observe this. So this one has mean width of 800 pixel. So if we just remove that, if we remove, then we have overflow x auto. Then this scroll appears and then disappears. That's very strange. So it appears and then disappears. Let's give this table fixed. Oops. We have table fixed and table auto. Well, now the scroll is not visible, but it actually works. Maybe it's a bug of Chrome. Okay, yeah, scroll actually works. So I don't see scroll bar. I don't know why I don't see that, but the scroll is actually working. Probably it's a bug of Chrome. Let's open Edge. Maybe I don't have Firefox at the moment. I'm going to install it later. But if we just inspect that, now we see that scroll bar, but it is not for min width 800. So we need to remove that min width 800 for sure. Let's actually remove that. Okay, now I think it was bug of Chrome. So now we see that scroll bar, and this is exactly what we want. Okay, so thanks Edge. Next page is order details. Let's have a look. We need to do something similar. So let's go in the order details, find the item and give, let's have a look in the watch list. So let's copy this one, paste here, 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 and that's it. Okay, here is my order details page. Looks nice. So orders, watch list, everything works. As for the login, okay, it doesn't work. So let's open login, and we gave it fixed width. I think we should give it width of full, and above small screen it should have width of 400 pixel. And we should give it also padding x5. Okay, now on large screen it's fine, and right here we see a fully responsive page. Okay, that's fine. Let's activate iPhone XR. I mean, that's looking nice. Now let's see sign up. We need to do something similar for sign up. Go there, and let me actually copy this. Okay, and we need padding x5. This is our sign up page. Let's go in the password reset. Padding x5. Okay, so I think now every page looks and works like a very responsive every page. And I think that concludes our Tailwindcss HTML e-commerce website template. Okay, if you enjoy this video and if you like it, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe, because in my upcoming videos I plan to add Alpine.js to this HTML e-commerce project, and we are going to also create a fully functional e-commerce website with online payments using Laravel and Tailwindcss and Alpine.js. Okay, so stay tuned. Make sure you like, subscribe, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate your nice comments. A lot of you provide nice comments, and that means a lot. So I generally do this for such nice words, and thanks a lot. And see you in the next time. You can get the project from my GitHub. And yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot, and see you in the next time.